Beautiful people. It's been a while. I know. Uh, Struggle has been real. Tired. Been a little bit under the weather. When you have so many people with the virus around, you could only resist but for so long. But kicking. Finally got back my voice. Can breathe a little bit. And so back to my work. Things I've been seeing lately, and quite frequently for a lot of people, is their struggle with accountability. Oftentimes, people are villainized and bastardized when they're attempting to hold people accountable for their actions or inactions. Especially in my profession and in my position, I see that quite often, that people are not always as receptive as you would need them to be when it's time to identify their shortcomings and how they can fix it. Of course, the excuse is always like how you convey that message. You got to soften the blow. Some people often say that when you're giving somebody negative feedback, it needs to be compounded with 6 to 7 positive things. But again, in my profession, sometimes we may not have the luxury of doing that. There's a lot of psychology when it comes to leadership as well. I even see it in my kids, kind of, raising my daughter when I'm holding her accountable for her schoolwork that she struggles with from time to time. She would often say, well, hey, I tried. And when I let her know that trying is not good enough, because I recognize her potential and I know what she has the ability to do or has been doing. If you're accustomed bringing home B's and A's, a C is unacceptable. So when I hold her accountable to those standards, she gets frustrated sometimes. Like, hey, well, I tried my best. Well, I don't think that was your best. So there's a lot of feelings associated with those. And now that she's back to, the standard that she's accustomed performing with, A's, A pluses, I was like, okay, this is what it is. And I congratulate her for it. I make sure I affirm, but I also let her know that this is normal. This is what you have been doing. So there's a fine balance. So, for her, there's a lot of emotions surrounding that. Sometimes almost the frustration of, hey, I can do no right, or I can do no good. So definitely working through that with her. But again, when you know somebody's potential, or you know what they have the ability to do, you're almost forced to make sure that you don't falsely affirm or just congratulate when people say that they're performing at their best, when you can clearly see and know that it's not at their best. So accountability in that way as well. As well as accountability, a lot of people struggle with identity, and more so today than probably I've seen for quite a while, and quite a number of people. Often people cannot really say who they are as a person. They can identify with their profession. Hey, I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor, I'm a soldier, I'm whatever it is. But absent that profession, they struggle to know who they are. And if you don't know who you are, when those tests and those storm comes, it's often surprising, or people kind of collapse when the temptations come. So you definitely need to be very grounded and solid in who you are, because there's ample people trying to tell you who you are, and you can easily sway, either left or right, if you're uncertain of who that person actually is. Recognizing your start point, or where you came from. Oftentimes people say you have to realize where you came from, because it's going to help you identify where you're going. So some people are from very humble beginnings and appreciate everything. Some people are, well to do, or started off in a different position than others, and they learn certain values along the way. So you often have to keep pretty much in the back or the front of your mind, however you want to look at where you came from. And with identifying, who you are, where you came from, the age old question of what's your contribution? Why am I here? What is your intention? What are you intended to do? What is your job while you're here? And some people struggle for that, with that for quite some time. Some people die with potential that they have never maximized on. It's tough, to struggle, to wake up every day without purpose. You busy throughout the day. You could probably mention 10, 15 things that you've done, but you don't feel fulfilled. You're not sure if that's what you're supposed to do, if you're just doing a job, to keep a roof over your head or to maintain with your family. There's nothing gratifying or satisfying about it, which is why you need to find your work and not necessarily a job, so you can always feel fulfillment in whatever that is, whether it's be sales, arts and crafts, a hobby, a job, whatever it is, whatever your fulfillment actually is, whatever your purpose is. And a lot of people, sometimes their purpose or their gift doesn't really pay, so it's easy for them to turn away from it when they have other responsibilities. And for some people, they're able to maximize on their gifts or their purpose, and make it have financial rewards. Some rewards are not always financial in nature, to keep that in mind. And for some people that struggle as well, to live up to their potential or to maximize on their potential and succeed, it's often derivative of their last success. So sometimes you'd hear me say that, hey, never get comfortable, because comfort is a killer of ambition. Comfort is the killer of hunger. When you get comfortable in a situation, you don't drive or aspire to do anything different. So comfort or success often stops progress, because after you get successful, to a certain degree, that drive or that hunger is really every day. You see it a lot in athletes. Sometimes they're young, aspiring, coming up, they have that hunger, that drive, they train so hard, and once they've gotten to a certain status or level, somebody that's hungrier than them or train harder than them actually comes and beat them, even though they have these $1 million facilities. The success that they have attained kind of diminish the drive or their will in certain degrees, and oftentimes they have to get defeated or taken back from that position for them to re-engage those cogs and that drive again to succeed. So to me, I've seen some people's potential be stopped by their last level of success. I know that was a mouthful. Hit a couple points. Definitely identify who you are, where you came from, what's your purpose. Be accountable to yourself, hold others accountable, and don't diminish your standard just to be with somebody, have a job, know your worth, if you will. So that's my 2 cents. What is your